Welcome to the Spiritual Evolution Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica, and today with Coco, aka Oktoberslkwd. I don't know how you spell it, but I'll be having everything linked below. But yes, I'm really excited to talk to her today, and I'm happy that you're here with us. So we're just gonna get right into it. The first question I have is, how and when did your first awakening happen? Like the beginning of your spiritual journey. Have a little backstory on that.
My goodness, it was insane. Not the best start. I'm not gonna lie. I'm nervous. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I had a rough start myself when I was 10 years ago in 2012, so I know. You can just tell me about like whatever parts of it you want. You don't have to talk about like the very beginning, because I know the very beginning is very hard for a lot of people.
It was just kind of like a lot of drama that happened. It's one of those situations where like no one ended up looking good at the end of it, and I was like, I need to do something for myself and focus less on everyone else. So, And I remember when I was like, I don't know, maybe in like freshman year of high school, I first learned about tarot cards, and I was like, I'll look more into that and kind of like start reading them a little bit more, and that's where it kind of started, and then it just kept unfolding. So my first like actual awakening though was way different than what I was expecting. It was like I don't even know how to describe it. It was scary. It was very scary. Like I started.
It's dark. The first awakening can be very dark a lot, especially as like and spiritual kind of like teachers and stuff out here. A lot of us have been through a lot of stuff that like. I mean, I know I'm still healing a lot of this stuff from like 17-year-old girl that just wanted to like experiment and then like got on the bad side of like the trying like psychedelics and stuff like that. It wasn't bad. It wasn't the psychedelics. It was more like the drugs. But either way, substances created like I thought it was gonna create like another world where we could connect spiritually, but it almost like I jumping into something I didn't understand fully. And so at like 15. So I get it. I totally get it. Scary. It can be scary. And I think why though we have like we're able to like it's good if at least like explain like like even without talking about it, like we know what it's like. And people will be able to relate to that, and that's why it's important that we have a spiritual community, because I didn't have that when I was going through my initial what I mean. So what's one of the most like unforgettable moments you've had meditating and meditation? Have you had any like divination or anything that like sticks out that you've like kind of like whoa?
Yes. So when I first started, like maybe 2017, I decided to just jump right into mirror scrying. Like, good, but I'm not getting the answers I wanted. I jumped into mirror scrying, but I didn't have any protections up. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I had this old lady come over, and she scared the out of me, basically. It felt like I got punched in the gut. And I was like, oh, okay. And even today, she'll still pop up. So like I started talking to our Lenormand reader in the shop, and she was like, I get a feeling that this is actually an ancestor, and that she's doing this to protect you because she's protecting the bloodline. And I was like, what?
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a very deep jump from like 17 now, because this was just like a month ago we figured this out. Like, okay, I'll get an obsidian scrying mirror and try that. So I did that. Through again, I had my pen and I was asking her questions. So is this protective? And she was like, yes, this is protective. I was like, can you roll it back? Because when she came through with the scrying, it just shut everything down. My spiritual awakening was just shut down. I lost all my gifts. Everything that was coming through just stopped. So I was like, so you could maybe open that up again, that'd be great.
Yes. I went through that, yeah.
So it's slowly coming back, but still
That's awesome though. I went through something like with, like wanting to kind of turn it off, because it like, it was like kind of like you open the floodgates a little bit. And so I understand why like sometimes you're not ready for all of those gifts at once, but it's so crazy how it comes back really quick that you kind of open yourself back up to think that everybody can, have abilities. It's just like a muscle. Going to the gym and working out every day or not, like you're gonna build it up. Your physical muscles. I think you can build up your psychic muscles. So let's see. So what is like a trauma or a trigger that you have surprised yourself, like that you were able to overcome or integrate, in the last couple of years? Have you had any like aha moments with any of those things?
Kinda, yeah. So back when I first started, obviously I had a huge falling out with a lot of friends. It wasn't like just 2 people. It was about 6 people over the course of a month that just kept betraying me or just dropping out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just recently saw one of them, and I was like, wow, it's just crazy how much the shadow work must have helped. Just from going back to trauma, reliving, okay, well, what about this? What about that? Going at it from different angles and kind of overcoming it. Because when I saw her and I was like, oh, hello. And then she was like, I missed you. I'm so sorry. Like, oh. So, yeah. Both sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome when like you're able to kind of overcome things like that. I had a thing like with a friend that like we're friends and we only stopped talking for a few months, and it was like over like me being like having my spiritual awakening, and what like it was like silly, like what happened with me and her, but what happens like that with a lot of different people, it's just kind of like that timing, like people here when they're meant to be in our lives, probably proved to that you did have, you did a lot of the work and you did a lot of the growth and the healing for that, like for being able to see her and not be like triggered and stuff. It works. Like it does work. It does pay off. Let's see. What do you like? How do you stay grounded? And like keep yourself like keep yourself out of like that shame and guilt when you have low energy. Like you have low energy days. Do you? I know
right.
Everybody has them, right?
Like the past 2 days, it's been like super low. And I'm like, I don't know what to even do. So it just kind of comes back to just trying to accept that that's a part of life as well. Try not to make yourself feel bad for any of that kind of stuff. If you have to take a minute, just kind of relax, kind of, just drink some tea and chill out for a minute, then do it,
Right.
Bad for taking care of yourself.
Yeah, because I know that like I have that like go mentality, and it's just like it's not good to burn the candle at both ends. So it's like important to take those times to rest when you're asking to. Sure.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
Let me see. Your thoughts on beginners doing Bane magic?
I think that it's definitely the way you're going to learn the quickest. You're not going to have
the best teacher.
Yeah. Okay, just kind of learn as you go, I guess. So if you're going to do it, then be prepared for the fallout.
Well, that's so funny because I literally just my questions, and the one I saw was like, "What have you ever had a spell that has fired?"
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's like the best story. Which one's the best?
So
first, I guess.
I heard that if you work with Saint Expedite, he has a very specific way it has to be worked with. And so I do that, apparently. I was not specific enough, and he's supposed to bring fast money. Oh. So I worked with him. Just got this house in 2019, and I asked help, and he flooded my apartment.
Oh my god!
Yes, I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's how it goes.
Oh shit! Oh, like they ain't kidding. Like I've had some things, but wow! Oh my god! What did you guys like? Was it like bad, or was it just like?
It wasn't terrible, but it was still the entire basement floor, and it was at least 3 to 4 inches of water. A lot.
Yeah.
But then the worst part of it is I couldn't even make an insurance claim because it was the first year in the house. That's the first year in your house. If you make an insurance claim, they'll cut it off. And I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't get anything from it.
I'm just mind mind blown right now. Like that's oh man, damn. That's so good. Like make this up, man. Like you really like can't. Like yeah, I have actually my tattoo artist. I was going to see him like every week. And I fucking had a feeling something was gonna happen, and luckily he saved all of his equipment, but his basement flooded like a couple days after I got the feeling that like something might happen to the equipment, and like I have already like I just got this like random thing like came over, like I have a lot of claircognizance, so like I'll just get random like oh okay like it's just like but yeah, but he saved all of it. I'm annoyed because like that was like my therapy, like going to see him. But so I also wanted to ask you about this. Do you believe like a binding spell is against free will, like if it's done on another person or anything like if you want to say you want to keep someone away or whatever?
Right. I mean, any spell work, in my opinion, can be seen as like interfering with free will. Like even if you do a money spell and you put $20 on the stock, like you took that $20 from someone.
Yeah.
So it's still interfering with the universe in some sort of way.
So true. I never thought like that because I mean you can say basketball and all that, but everything has loopholes.
Sure.
Especially like in the human world, though. Language can be tricky. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I've been back and forth about it. I mean, I'm very like super new. Like I've been into this stuff most of my life. It's just been kind of on and off. And I was raised in a Catholic home, so it was kind of hard, like being tough as a kid. But yeah, I want to get into like kind of like learning more about that, like being full magic. I do protection. I do a lot of protection and warding and stuff. But I've never done like a binding spell to protect myself. I might need to do that. But let me see. Have anything that you have what does this say? Oh, okay. What was one thing? Sorry. It has two lines. I was trying to do the one line and I was like, no, that's not right. So what is one if you had like the whole world's attention for like a minute, what would be like a concept you would want to like leave with them, like an idea or something learned, like what would be something you would say if you had like a minute, 30 seconds of our attention, like the whole human family's attention? I know it's overwhelming, but I like people this question.
Oh, that's fine. I think the biggest thing is try to be truthful and always try to communicate the best you can. Because that's the number one thing I've seen the past couple of years, seeing a lot of my friends where they just don't communicate like how they're feeling with other people, or they're not saying how they're feeling to the people that are affecting their feelings. Like just talk about it. Like be worried about it. The most I can say is, well, I'm sorry. I can't change the past. Like that's the worst that can happen. The best thing is to change behavior.
Right, and communicating is really such a big thing with, especially when you're close with people, and like you can't expect people just expect like I mean, and it's because we're conditioned to feel like that people just know what we need, but like that's not. Because just because you feel that way doesn't mean you know it. Like some people can pick up on stuff, but like you have to communicate. And it can be really nerve-wracking for a lot of people. Like I know it's nerve-wracking for me. Like I don't like I hate confrontation. I'm a fucking Libra sun. Like I hate it. Like,
oh man, yeah. It
doesn't have to be confrontation though, right?
Exactly. Like one way I took a speech class in college, and they're like the number one thing that like you can learn is when you do this, I feel this, because it's not blaming them, it's just saying how you feel about the situation. So I think that helps a lot take the pressure off like this you did this to it's a we kind of conversation.
Yes, like I feel this way. Yes. And then it's like different ways you can do, inventory and stuff. And I know that's kind of like corny, but like you can't do that kind of stuff with like the people that say you living with like roommates or whatever, and like where you're at and where you want to be at like a year or whatever from now, where you're here, like where you guys are at this week and this day. Or like month. Like and that I learned that like relationship like therapy or whatever. Like it wasn't really relationship therapy, it was more group therapy for healthy relationships, because like recovery and stuff. But
Yeah.
And so there's like different ways you can communicate and make it like easier.
Right.
And
Exactly.
yeah. So what is one thing you would do if money wasn't an object? What's one of the things you would do?
I would travel everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere.
I know, me too. Yeah. My friend, he's like a travel content creator, and he's literally living the dream. Like, and it's crazy because I had a dream about, like, he was in the dream last night, but in the dream I looked at my phone and like my, like, long story short, I dropped my phone, my vape in the water to get it, and then this morning, my like feed on my Facebook, he was like the first thing going in the water, his phone. I was like, like, but it's just I'm in the dream, but like it was like, and I haven't really remembered dreams lately either. Like I remember my dreams normally, but the few months it's been so intense that like I get bits and pieces, but I don't remember like the like what actually happened. Just remember like people. Yeah, it was funny. It was like one of the dreams that I remembered in a while. I was like, oh, cool, that's kind of funny. And so yeah, but I want to travel so bad. Watch all his videos like vicariously. Vicariously to him.
Seriously.
Oh, it's so pretty. So have you ever had to deal with like spiritual overwhelm? I mean, I dealt with that. Like I still deal with that. Like buying like books that I want to read them all right now. Kind of spiritual overwhelm, like just wanting the information.
Right now, my friend introduced me to Scribe, which is an app where it's only $10 a month and you get access to audiobooks and ebooks and documents and podcasts. And I'm like, oh my God, there's so much information.
Yeah.
And it's not like Audible where you only get one a month. This is all every month. So I'm like, oh no, do I?
Yeah. Like sleep doesn't exist anymore.
Right. Like, what do I want to learn about today? Oh, there's this other book though that also looks really good.
I got now I'm gonna have to look it up. I want to get Gaia. I'm gonna get Netflix and get Gaia, that app with all the videos. So I like to play those videos. I'm seeing it, but I want to look at this. I want to subscribe too because I just want to homeschool my kid too. So I need to find like the teaching app.
Got it.
But that sounds really yeah. So it's like, how do you like stay grounded within like wanting to learn everything? Like, is there any way that you like, I don't know, limit your time on certain things like that?
Kinda? No, not really.
Me too. Not really.
I try to come up with like a game plan. Like I meditated on it one day. I'm like, how am I gonna do this? How am I gonna get A to B? And I came up with it, and I opened the app. I was like, nope, that's not gonna happen.
It's just like I have the plan. I know what to do. I'm not doing it because it's just too much fun.
It's all over the place.
Yeah, I get that. It's like a kid candy store when you like realize how much information is out there. But it's gonna. What one of my mentors told me months ago, she's like, it's not going anywhere. Like the information's always gonna be, and you'll be able to like read about it or watch about it, whatever that tomorrow or if you have something to do right now, like in a couple hours. But so that made sense to me. But it's so much fun to learn.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
What would surprise people about you told them? Like maybe like anything. Like if you think of one thing that would surprise people, what would it be?
That I am a mother.
What does that mean?
So when I was 17, I placed my child into an adoptive plan with my aunt and uncle.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Good for you. So, wow.
Thank you. That's
amazing.
It was a lot. Even going through that, I still can't really hospitals. That's something I also have to tackle shadow work wise, but it's just it makes me feel a lot better. Especially he's already been to more places in the world than I have, so I'm like, okay.
That's awesome. Yes, that's awesome. That's really good. And are you like? I mean, that's amazing that you are like. I give you so much props. Is he like? Do you see him or like like interact at all or not? It's just kind of like you gave him up for adoption and that was that.
He's with my aunt and uncle, so I see him. I haven't seen him since the start of the pandemic. So
Okay.
before that, it was at least every couple months I would see him and hang out. And even though he's super shy and he didn't really talk to me, but
Oh,
yeah.
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I give you props. That's amazing. So let me see. If you had the opportunity, one deceased practitioner or like teacher, spiritual guru, I don't know, like any person that you look up to, and that you like learned from, who would you want to meet?
Probably Marie Laveau. Even if she wouldn't teach me anything, I would just want to talk to her. Just be like, please, just blow my mind. Get a donation reading from her.
Okay, I think, what does she do? I've heard her name before.
She is the Queen of New Orleans.
Oh, okay. I know I've heard her name. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I've thought about. I just Bob Marley comes to my mind.
Oh yes.
I fucking love him. Like
Yeah.
it would be so much fun to hang out with Bob Marley. But that's
1000%.
that's always. I think that's like stoner in me, honestly. I think that's just like my little stoner streak. But I'd have to think about that a little deeper. I would want to like practitioner. So what is a boundary you've had to set for yourself in this journey?
Oh my gosh. Not to pick up my tarot for every question.
That's how I want my pendulum.
I'm like, oh my gosh, every time. What does this mean? Can I get some clarification? No. Okay, thanks.
Like, or again. I got you.
Oh my gosh. It's a lot, but I'm like, I need to know. I want to know. I'm the kind of person that can't go without knowing, I guess.
Yes, I made a video about it like the last 2 weeks or something ago. I was like trying to meditate because so many things were happening at once, so many moments at once. It was like I was just trying to meditate and get clarity. I wait 2 seconds in, I was like, oh, this, I'm not gonna be able to meditate. And so I had my cards from the morning reading in front of me at my altar, and I was like, why? Like, tell me why. And
Right.
and it actually did give the first card that came out was like the master card, and that came through to me like you're just trying to master, like you're trying to become the master of the human like. So what did you expect? Like, fuck you, dude. Like, nah. Take it back. I'm returning it.
I don't want it anymore. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so they'll give you the clue, but it might not be what you want to hear.
Right, exactly.
It'll make sense. Have you ever questioned your sanity and why? If you, we don't have to elaborate if you don't want to, but have you ever been through spiritual overwhelm in that essence?
Not in that essence, because like I said, my gifts were completely off, so I didn't really have anything to be like, I'm going next.
Right.
So, but with them,
maybe that honestly.
like, eventually, with the gifts kind of slowly trickling in, maybe it'll happen.
No. We don't want that. We don't want that. I mean, it's no. You'll be all right. That's the thing. If you get your gifts like later on in life, I think that is so much like then your brain's fully developed and you just have a more mature perspective, and you understand things from a high, like you have a better,
right,
just a better understanding and stability and all of that. Yeah. So I think everything definitely happens for a reason because I've been through it.
Yeah.
But so what is one of your favorite ways to practice divination or spell work?
So oh my gosh, my go-to is always like tarot or oracle cards, but then recently I got back into pendulum scrying, which has helped immensely. But then like spell work wise, I usually default magic, but my specialty is usually puppet magic. It takes hours, so I don't like doing it.
Yes, I want to ask you about that because I think it's so cool.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
How did you get into all that?
So the puppets, I don't know how that happened. I was like, let me just sew it and see what happens. And then things just like started happening. I was like, oh, this is the way to go.
This is my thing, yeah.
Right. Also, just like when you're sewing the puppet, you can almost like say a mantra while you're sewing it, so you can put more and more energy into it.
Yeah. I feel when I'm crushing up, even though it's like,
Right.
It's like just meditate with it. Yeah.
Exactly.
I love it.
a lot easier. Plus, you can kind of fill it with any herbs you want. I got this idea recently from watching anime, surprisingly. A spell jar in it.
Guys, I love that idea.
I was like, this would be cool. That way, it's always has some sort of charge no matter what.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And you can like shake it whenever you want to, reactivate or recharge the energy.
Exactly.
That's cool. I love it. I think that puppets are really cool. I would love to try it. I can sew. My patience.
Yes.
I have such bad ADHD, girl. It's bad. Like, you want to know, I don't have any topics. I just like write questions for podcasts. Like,
oh, that's fine.
That's just how I do it. But let's see. I have. What was one paranormal activity that has happened to you or a friend that made it hard to believe? Like you were like in. Is there anything that you have that you were like in shock about?
Yes.
Okay.
Once. This was right before I talked to the old lady. So this was one of the few things that happened. I remember waking up one night and there's a shadow figure at the end of the bed. It's the only time I've ever seen one. And it was like, most times you see them out of the corner of your eye and they just kind of run across, whatever. This one, I could see it over the bed, just kind of reaching over like poker, I don't know, and just kept going like back and forth. And I was like, what is going on? Oh. So that's the only like paranormal experience I've had. I've been to at least the owner of October, she also operates for the Wills, which is a funeral home on the east side of Cleveland, or it was a funeral home. Now it is owned by this guy who's trying to rehabilitate it, basically, but it's super haunted because it started off as a Masonic temple, then it was a hospital, and then it was the largest Black-owned funeral home in the United States, and it was actually a huge portion of the civil rights movement. They have some of the lines from the civil rights movement in there, and Martin Luther King Jr. was there as well.
What? My God.
Highly recommend looking up the House of Wills. Super cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow. And now that's that's pretty fun. Do you know what they're gonna make it into? Like, or they're trying to get into?
These are trying to rehabilitate it. The architecture is gorgeous. And what happened was when Mr. Wills died, unfortunately, the city kind of let it go to wait like 6 years. But within that 6 years, like floors started rotting through. People like they're breaking in and stealing the copper thing. So there's a whole bunch of 30 square feet too, so it's huge. Wow,
pretty cool. I mean, at least you're seeing it.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I've had things like happen with like I feel like at night, like when you're asleep, there's more, and you wake up and you're like still half asleep. There's more. You're more in that realm. Like, right. Things can happen like that because that's definitely I've seen the shadows at my beds before. Like, I've seen really cool things too. Like yeah, I get it. Let me see. What are your thoughts on Deja Vu? Because like recently I got this idea that like everything already exists. Like obviously, if you believe in like the quantum physics and stuff, and the multiverse and all of that, parallel universes, and time being in like not really real. Everything is like if you exist, energy cannot be destroyed nor created. So if you exist, you've always existed. Everything's already like here. So do you think Deja Vu is kind of just like the crossover of those like parallel universes? Because I've heard that, but what are your thoughts?
I could see that. I never got too deeply into Deja Vu. I probably will have to after this conversation.
I've been getting it every day. I was getting it every day last week. I haven't a little bit, but it was happening like on the day. It's been now it's just synchronicity. It's getting annoying. No, it's not annoying, but
I could definitely see it being like a crossover multiverses because like on 3D level we're like just like a straight linear line across, but once you get more in depth it gets more like a landscape. So I could definitely see some sort of thing happening during Deja Vu.
Right, and I think it can also have something to do with like, the fact that if we have like any knowledge before we become human, like what our life's gonna be like. Maybe those are the glimpses that we saw.
Oh,
You know, it could be any. I just got chills. Anything. It could be anything. Yeah, I think that it's really fun to speculate about that stuff. And plus, since it happens so often, I was like, I have to ask her about that.
Yeah.
Because like I try and write about what's relevant to what's going on too with me. Because I like to see how the collective, like, because a lot of stuff that's happening, it's like the ascension has definitely been on a collective scale. I want to see how everyone else is dealing with it and what other people, because everyone has different confirmations, has different, like signs and stuff like that. Whether it's like I have different animals too. That.
Right.
So let's see. What is what do you? So I actually wanted to ask you because I saw a video you made about the dirts, and you know the differences between the different types of dirts, or is that like not something you're knowledgeable on?
Like, okay, I would say I'm generally knowledgeable. Like, I know dirt's really good if you wanted to like bring in money. Like,
ooh, I never thought about that.
So you could use bank dirt to actually, you could bury. Oh my goodness.
I'm writing this down. Like that's a never see like. I had to write that question because there's different kinds, and I don't really know much more than like graveyard dirt. Like, and there's all this different like speculation.
Like the bank dirt, you can use that. You can like use that, bury your spell with that dirt, or if you don't have access to that, you can actually just bury it with a mint plant. I found that works pretty well too. Hospital dirt, if you want to like aid with healing or with baneful, you can go the other route.
I was gonna say, you're right. It's all about your intention for sure.
Right. So you could do that. With like actual graveyard dirt, there's so many different things that I've heard, but the consensus is like if you get from like a cop or a like military veteran, it's more of like for protection against from like any sort of, you can kind of that spirit a little bit. You could
I've good for nightmares.
See that?
Yeah, my friend was like, that's not what you're supposed to use for night, because at one point I was like making nightmare jars because I was still getting night terrors here and there, and because I had really like bad night terrors when I was on this one medication that was supposed to help me sleep and all this stuff, and then that helped me into lucid dreaming because I like woke myself up in scary dream, but still, but I was making spell jars for it. My friend was telling me to use graveyard dirt, and I was so nervous about it because I was like, isn't it close? Like, I didn't know any better. I was so confused. And this was the beginning.
Right. It's
not and I know a lot of people are. Yeah.
It's part of American like folk magic. Even folk magic found with the cunning folk over. So it's been used across culture.
It's dirt.
Right, exactly. So
just the way you use it is what I've learned is like the difference. What may not be, and I don't know because I'm not in any of those practices. So that's what I was like hearing the other day when I was researching this other girl that I'm about to have on here about like because she's part of a closed practice, and somebody like tagged me a video about it, talking about closed practices when you're not a part of them. So it's like kind of silly, like. But it's good to know graveyard dirt is okay to use. But yeah, let me see what else I have. I have a couple more questions and then I'll let you go because we're not an hour yet. But I'm happy to do this. I like to meet like new people, and I really love your content and your energy, and like
thank you.
I've only been to Ohio once, but I really want to do like a meet with everybody eventually. I want to get like an old meetup together someday.
Ooh, yeah, please.
Do something like that with everybody. It's like my dream to like get something like that, but someday.
Love that.
So what's one more? Okay, so what is like your thoughts on dispelling fear around magic and witchcraft? Like, do you have any ideas around how we can kind of get information out there quicker?
Slowly. Well, unfortunately, it's gonna be a slow process, like no matter what, because you kind of have to gauge how the other person is going to do it. Because I also, my main work in automotive, I work with a Baptist priest. So that's interesting. I'd be like, so can I ask you about the Book of Enoch?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. For
So,
real though. Yeah.
kind of slowly, but well, I did this and it wasn't that bad. Or you can just kind of open it as, there's this superstition that you do this, and then people become more receptive to it. It's like, no, that's magic.
Right. I think it's convincing, but I think it's about like being able to open up people's minds. And then it's sad, but it's like people really do need to see it or feel it or have it happen for themselves to like, believe it. Like it's the way we are as humans. Like besides, what we've been conditioned to happen. I think with stuff like that, conditioned to believe isn't real. It's gonna be a lot more that people are gonna want to believe it or feel it. So I think it's hard to kind of bridge that. But I think slowly is the best way. You're right. It's just like it's frustrating because it's like, oh, man, like you do see this, right? Like my mom will see the sign too. The hawk flew over our. She was like, that might have been an eagle. It was so big. It was so big. Because there was eagles like around our area a few weeks ago. But anyway, but she sees it and I tell her something like, oh, Grandma said this, and she's like, I wish I could hear her. I'm like, you could. Like, like you do. Like she sends, like little like numbers and stuff, but you have to stop disregarding those things.
Right.
But yeah, it does. It takes time, and I don't think it's meant to. Like everyone's different journey. It's so beautiful. It's just acceptance from everybody, and their way. That's. I think it's happening. It's just happening slowly.
Very slowly. The thing is that a lot more people are turning towards like magic and the occult and spirituality. So it's becoming more of the forefront, and I think it'll be less of a slow. It'll just be more of a walk next time.
Yeah, like because as people, I mean, as our generations go on, what's going to be like everything's changing with our generation. I feel like people that are breaking the cycles of the millennials,
Oh, for sure.
Whoever, like, I mean, I think there's like said to be like the indigo children, the crystal and the rainbow, and that's basically anyone born from like after the 1980s. And I think a lot of the people that are questioning things. So I think it's gonna change as like, and I'm not trying to be morbid, but like as people die, like
I get it.
It's gonna kind of just be the way life becomes. But I have a couple more questions. How do you stay like strong in boundaries when if you're ever like you ever have to deal with people that you from your past that you have like stopped fucking with or for whatever reason, if you have anything like that, like how do you hold your boundaries?
For the most part, just being like, because actually I do have a good story on this one. There's this guy that dated my friend, and he was and eventually like, oh my gosh, I can't describe that night. It was terrible when he was just drunk and making a fool of himself and just being super to everyone and aggressive. And so he tried coming back a few months later and was like, hey, I'm really sorry, I didn't do that. And I was like, I understand that, and I accept your apology. I can't forgive you just yet. If we can tackle this later. I don't see us being friends again. I apologize, but I just don't see it. Like you crossed a line. I can't accept that.
Right. So. Right. Yeah. No, I know how people like that. It's like, did he accept it? How did he react? What did you say? What he was?
He was just like, okay, and walked away. But then later I found out that he was saying that I just kind of like leashed on him. Like, no.
Oh boy.
I was like, you're outside. Everyone would have heard. Trust me.
Right. So. When people make things up. But yeah, that's important to be able to, because I know I've been in places where I was like, people walk all over me for when I knew that like I needed to speak up for myself.
Right.
And now I'm happy that I'm able to speak up for myself. So 2 more questions. Do you think that we shift timelines or dimensions like anytime? Like, do you think that we're able, how people say, you can quantum jump, that you do believe that's possible?
I have never experienced it, so I can't say yes or no, really.
Right.
I've heard of people saying that they've shifted. But no one in my friend group has said.
Yeah.
I would probably have to go searching more.
Right. Yeah. I feel like it's definitely, it might even be more subtle than we realize. I think it can happen in like dreams and stuff like that. I think anything's possible in the dream world. But so one last question. What does spiritual evolution mean to you?
I think it means kind of you come into the practice and you're probably at a lower point than you would expect. And you just kind of evolve and heal, realize, what your fears are. You kind of just like immature and you realize where all your ethics and values are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you kind of grow into yourself, like you remember like who you are in a way. It's really beautiful. It can be very scary and like uncertain.
Yes,
I mean,
1000%.
Oh my gosh. I think that's all part of the journey, and I think it's just all about your perspective, like how you see it and being able to see things from a higher perspective.
Right.
Thank you guys so much for being here with me and Coco. I had so much fun talking to her, and she is such a very kind and pure heart, and it was really nice to get some perspective from another witch. So I'm really happy that you guys shared this time with us, and I hope you have an amazing